Hey book club. I don't know if I'm gonna live to regret this or not, but I'm gonna try listening to Daniel Green's Breach of Peace. Let me tell you why I might think I live to regret this. I've never read a novella before. The only other YouTuber novel I've read is Jenna Moressi's Eve the Awakening, and I did not finish it. I also think that starting with a novella is super weird. Like, I don't really know. He said on his channel that he's doing this to practice writing, and I just kind of felt like, bro, nobody sees my practice. My practice isn't good. So I guess I want to see his practice. I have got my crummy old iPhone. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I hope I like it. I mean, of course I want to like it. I hope it's great. I have heard a lot of feedback about like the way police are portrayed, and I don't really care about that stuff. Like, I think that, well, I guess I won't know until I listen to it, but I am open to loving this story. The cover is beautiful. Oh my God, the cover is so great. But I guess we'll just...
This is Audible.
We'll just have to see.
Breach of Peace. Written by Daniel Green.
I mean...
Narrated by Kate Redding
I guess
and
it's...
Michael Kramer.
It's fine so far. Okay, this is a novella, so it's pretty short. It's only 3 hours and 9 minutes long, and I'm about 25 minutes in right now, and I'm pleasantly surprised that for the most part, like, I forgot who wrote the book. One of my favorite compliments I've ever got on my book is when my best friend was reading it and she told me she forgot I wrote it. Oh, you're also getting like the evolution of Hannah doing her hair, which is why it's so drippy right now, because I'm in between steps. So the book starts pretty strong. Basically, this detective shows up to a crime scene, and we get a little bit of what the world is like, and I guess about the hierarchicalness of the world, that there's an empire, that there is some kind of rebellion, that this royal family, which I think royals is like a class, has been attacked, and it's pretty good so far. There's only been one line where like I kind of laughed. It kind of took me out of the book because I was like, oh yeah, Daniel Green wrote this book and I watch his videos. And it was a line where the detective's husband shows up and he's also one of these officers. And he like puts something together. And I think this is the right line. She says, she doesn't think it. This was the problem with the line. The book is written in third person closed, and there's a line, damn, her husband was good, or something like that. And I was just like, damn, a boy wrote this book. Because I don't know, I think maybe if that line had been like, damn, my husband is good, I might have felt differently about it. But because it was like the omniscient person telling this story, telling us how good this woman's husband is, I was like, you don't know what a girl would think when she was thinking that. That's why you wrote it that way. But other than that, like one line in 25 minutes? Okay. I really wish I didn't know anything about the author going into this, because I find myself like in that moment I was like, oh, this is practice, and that's not fair. I probably wouldn't have thought that had I not known. But anyways, stage 3, you know, the drawing. Actually, maybe this is stage 4. So I'm about an hour in, and I gotta say, this is the last time I am going to watch reviews or learn about a book before I read it, because it is for sure tainting how I'm seeing it. There are still times where I'm like really, really into it, and then sometimes I get pulled back thinking about the writing. And I think this is something we do to independent authors more than we do to traditionally published authors. And as an independently published author, it really kind of sucks, and I can see myself doing it. I can understand why other people do it, but I'm like rewriting sentences in my head or like being overly critical because it's an independently published book. Maybe it's also because Daniel Green is a YouTuber and somebody who I watch regularly, and that like makes him more real. You know, I think sometimes when we read books, the authors aren't really real to us because we have no idea who they are. You know, you don't know their personality, you don't know their likes or dislikes, and this is a different case here. In one of the reviews of this book that I watched from a reviewer who really enjoyed the book, he said that one thing that he didn't like is at the end of some chapters there was an omniscient line, and I've just gotten one of those, and I don't know if it's an omniscient line yet. And it was a good line. Like, it definitely made me go like, oh, it got me. But I wonder, and I won't know until I continue listening to the book, whether or not this was actually the character thinking it, or if this was like removing us from the story. And I think had I not watched that review, I would have just been like super, super into the story after that line. So I guess I disagree with that reviewer, but it just depends on how the rest of the story goes. All this to say that if you want to read something, just read it. Don't listen to too much stuff about it. Read it and then listen to the stuff. My other thought so far is about the narration, which I think is like, okay. I don't love the narrator choices. I feel like they don't sound the way the world feels to me. And I don't know if that's the fault of the writing or the narration. Not a ton has happened. Clyd, the main character, just left the crime scene after her husband, and her husband's rival, whose name escapes me at the moment, went kind of like underneath the house to try and find somebody who they thought was potentially a survivor of this attack. There's not really a ton of story yet. It's not bad. I'm enjoying it. So, yeah, that's where I am. Something is bugging me. Early on in the book, the main girl noticed that the rival guy's coat was ripped. Okay, but now, like, there's this whole plot point around a ripped coat, and I think if this, like, who cares? People rip their clothing all the time, and if this is a very like out of the ordinary thing for an officer to have a ripped coat, then I think that should have been set up earlier, because it just seems really, really trivial and it's bugging me. So now her and her husband are really trying to get to the bottom of the ripped coat. The setting of this book is really reminding me of the Caiaphas Cain book that I read, because there is this imperial royal family, his holy whoever high person, and our main characters believe in this thing, but this thing is clearly overpowered and is not actually the good guys. So I'm really getting a lot of Warhammer links happening in my head. I don't know if that's the intention or not for me to be thinking of the world in this way, but that's kind of what I'm feeling at this point. And now I'm an hour 45, I think. Let me check. An hour 40 in. I have an hour and a half left, and like stuff is happening. I'm not in love with any characters. I don't love anybody, so I don't really care that much. It's not bad, I'm just not in love. So like I said before, I've never read a novella, and I guess I don't really get why novella. I don't like super long books, and I don't particularly like standalones. Like I'll pick a shorter book over a longer book, but I will pick a book in a series over a standalone. And so a novella just like doesn't make sense to me. It's like not long enough for me to be satisfied. My first thought when I heard, this is part of the reason why I wish I hadn't heard anything about this book first, but then I wouldn't have read it. Ugh, chicken and the egg. He talked about his word count. He said he's like 40,000 words and he's done. And I was like, done? That's only half a book. I am 2 hours in, and I really think this should have been a full-length novel. Like, we've kind of gotten to a part where things are starting to get exciting, and I think I would have just been so much more into it if I cared about the characters at all. Like, I haven't been with them long enough to care, and I think had this been a full-length novel, all of those pages, that extra, like, 25 to 30,000 words, would have been developing the characters, would have made the confession, I'm trying not to spoil, but would have made, like, this confession that we hear, I would have felt it. But because I didn't know anybody, I don't feel it. And now this big decision that's being made, like, I don't feel it. It's interesting enough, but I'm not in love. The other thing that's really strange to me is that there are two narrators, and this is a dual perspective book, but I'm 2 hours in and there's been one chapter from the other perspective. So either that one shouldn't have been there, or there should have been a lot more. And I'm not sure why the author decided to do the things he decided to do. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, 1 hour left. I'm driving to my sister's place. She just bought a new house. Very exciting. I didn't think I would have to pull over this much, but I knew there's something that's going to happen that I knew was going to happen, and that omniscient line thing happened again. And last time, had I not watched that other review, I would have been like, oh, but this time, yo, you need another editor. It's like, the first one was cool because maybe it was not omniscient. I don't want to spoil because I want you to read the book, even if after this review you think you won't like it, because independent authors, we need it. We need the help. But the first one, it could have been something that was on her mind. But this one just told me the ending. It was a choice that was made. Oh, and also, before I get back on the road, it gave away the ending, and I don't even care because I don't know the characters well enough yet. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. So read it so you know what I'm talking about. And then message me on Instagram or talk to me in the comment section about it so we can talk about it. Thanks. So I still have 5 minutes left in the book, 6 minutes, but I'm at an en route. I was passing an en route and I'm like, this is going to have to be it. And if you're from Ontario, you know what that means. I really think this story would have served the characters so much better if it was full length and the second book in a series. Because all of this stuff that is happening at the end, I don't care. Because I don't know these characters. I think it's interesting, but it's not getting me in the feels. And it seems as though the author is trying to get me in the feels, and I'm just like, okay, and then what happens? Like I'm not really in it. So I think this would have been a good second story in a series. I do agree with a lot of other reviewers in that the world building wasn't great. I didn't think that I was going to think that, because I don't usually care about that stuff, but I understand what they were saying and what they meant. I also find it so interesting. There's a character that we only meet for like a scene and a half, not even, who I immediately liked pretty much more than anybody else in the book. So it's not that Daniel Green can't develop characters in a way to make me like them right away. He just didn't do that for any of his main characters, which I found very strange. And also in that scene towards the end, like, humor was used in a very strange way. It kind of pulled me out of the story and made me think about the writing. Editor Hannah here with Winter. Hi. Hello. Yeah, we both think that what everybody's saying about the police thing and the way Daniel Green thinks about police is stupid. We think that's wrong, right? He can write police however he wants to write because obviously it's a fantasy. Isn't that right? Right. Anyways, I have 6 minutes left. I can see that this is a great jumping off point for like another section of this story, this universe. But I do think that this story would have been served much better by being the second full-length novel in a series. For 6 minutes, at the end of that 6 minutes that I had left, but I wasn't going to stop again until I got to where I'm going. So I'm here now, and I wasn't going to... I take back everything I just said. That ending ruined a lot of the book for me. As I was driving, I listened to another review. And one of the things that I had heard before that they said in this review was his intention is a trilogy of novellas before he starts the series that is like the point. I don't know. Initially I thought a novella was lazy, and I still think that. Don't publish your practice. Your practice is for you, and if you want this to be for us, give us something. I felt like that was nothing. The emotional beats didn't hit for me at all, and I wanted them to. You know how badly I want to love the book of a fellow YouTuber? I still think you guys should definitely check this book out. Man, I wish he had a different editor. Like, I feel like there was so much to explore in the characters that was left unexplored. And I think that if you want to write something, write it. Don't write a prequel of Almost the Thing before you write the thing. Just give me the thing. I don't know. I guess in conclusion, I would give Breach of Peace 2.5 out of 5 Harry Potter lightning bolts, because it was not bad. It just wasn't anything special. Would I read it again? Probably not. Am I going to think about it a lot? Probably not. Will I read the next book in his prequel novella trilogy? No. Will I read the first book of his actual series? Yes! Yes, I would! But I'm not reading the rest of this prequel trilogy. The way this one went, I'm like, oh, my sister and her baby. Can you guys see? No, you can't see when she comes over for the show. I'll get her to say hi. And let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. And until next time, oh, there she is. Until next time, may the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and I'll be back. Do you want to edit? Do you want to be the editor? No? You just want to chew on your toy. Okay.
Lachlan? Said a familiar voice behind me. I froze. My heart started to pound in my chest. Lachlan, is that you? The Eastern European accent was gone. But then again, my accent was gone too. Well, for the most part. All the same, I would have known her voice anywhere. I turned slowly on the spot. Full lips broke into a smile that reached all the way to her bright brown eyes. Long dark hair cascaded over her shoulders. It was longer than the last time I'd seen her. But that had been 5 years ago. Samila, I said.